Holy heck, look how good this game is. Die Hard Arcade, the best arcade game ever made. Holy. I'm going to do it. I'm going to blow my balls off right now. I'm Ball Blower Billy, and I'm legally insane. And hidden behind these adult-sized diapers, I've got 12 retro video games for you to play this Christmas and holiday season, right through to New Year's Day. Some of these games, you just might blow your balls off. In fact, one of them I just about guarantee you are going to blow your balls off. So you might want to prepare for that. And make sure you're wearing a diaper. Let's get started. First up, we got Die Hard Arcade for the Sega Saturn. Anytime I get a chance to show this off, I bring it out. And it's Christmas. Everybody knows Die Hard is the best Christmas movie ever made. So why not play the best Die Hard arcade or Die Hard game ever made? Why not play the best one? And I know what you're thinking. You're instantly saying, well, I don't have a Sega Saturn. Bubble wrap inside. Got to keep my Die Hard arcade in good condition. Bought this a long time ago on eBay. And you're saying right now, well, I don't have a Sega Saturn. It's a very expensive console. And the games are very expensive as well. Die Hard Arcade is a very expensive game. I don't know what's going for today, but it's going to cost you a lot. Okay, it's a Sega Saturn game. It's automatically going to cost you a lot. So to you, I say, well, number one, you're probably broke. Hey, I'm in the same boat. I'm broke too, buddy. And number two, guess what? I don't have a Sega Saturn either. So if you don't have a Sega Saturn, you're going to have to do the next best thing. You're just going to have to buy Die Hard Arcade for the Sega Saturn and look at it. That's what I do. I've never in my life owned a Sega Saturn, but I have Sega Saturn Die Hard Arcade. Next up, we got Simpsons. The Simpsons movie. Xbox 360 or PS3 doesn't matter. One of the best platformers ever made with 2-player co-op and 2-player drop-in, drop-out co-op. Great to play with the kids, great to play with the wife, great to play with the family on a nice 2-player drop-in, drop-out co-op. Did I mention that? They can join you in your existing playthrough. Now, it doesn't start off 2-player. You have to get a little bit far into the game. Not too far, and 2-player unlocks, okay? One of the best games on the Xbox 360. If you're a collector, get the version with the poster. I don't have the poster. Wish I did. Oh, and if you're wondering why did I choose this as like a Christmas game? Holiday season game? Well, for starters, I consider The Simpsons to be a holiday season event. They're part of my tradition, I should say. My every year tradition, I watch The Simpsons Christmas DVDs. I don't watch every single episode, but I'll pop in a couple. This is the earlier number one has got the better episodes on it. I forget exactly what seasons, and this one's not quite as good. It's got some of the newer episodes, but it's still good. And so to me, Simpsons and Christmas and the month of December, they go hand in hand together. So Simpsons game makes the list. Next up, we got some Sega Genesis games. Christmas season says snow and winter time, and what goes hand in hand with snow and winter? We're talking hockey. Hockey is the one thing that makes winter bearable and enjoyable. If you live in a northern climate, you live up in Canada, people up here, we love hockey. We love hockey and we love the wintertime because of hockey. You take hockey out of the equation and ain't nobody like the wintertime no more. Okay? Ain't nobody like it. So NHL 94, why not go, like of all the hockey games, you're probably thinking, well, why can't I play NHL, what's the newest one, 20, 24, 24K, 24K, I don't even know who's making NHL games these days. Because they all suck. Why would you play that new garbage? Go to the old school OG, NHL 94, they say it's the best. I'll counter argue, I say 95 is just as good. But this one is so famous because it's simplistic and it's fun. That's all it needs to be. NHL 95 is still simplistic. I sunk more hours into this one probably because I owned it. NHL 96, I sunk a lot of hours into that one. It was still good. NHL 97 and up, they started adding in more controls and a little bit too much, to be honest. So it all comes back down to the OG. This is the most famous version. Sega Genesis is more famous than the Super Nintendo version because apparently this game is more fast-paced. That's what they say. So NHL on the Sega Genesis is supposed to be better. Next up, we got an N64 game. Here's one that I'm recommending. Polaris Snowcross. Bit of a rare game. Price has been going up, at least last I checked. If I remember, I'll put a little picture of the chart up. It's probably still going up. It's going up because it's a late release title. That's why. And it's not bad either. It's actually a pretty good game. It's the wave race of snowmobile racing. So it's all about the physics. They did a great job on the physics and the environmental effects. The reason Wave Race was so good, and the reason they even made Wave Race, was because somebody invented that physics engine with the water. And so they made the game based on the physics engine of the water. Somebody invented the water, and then they had to make the game to go with the water. That's how it happened. That's how they made Wave Race. It's why Wave Race exists on the N64. So this game's somewhat similar in that somebody figured out, hey, okay, if they can do that with jet skis, well, why don't we really focus on making some great physics for some snowmobile games? And they did a good job. It's a very underrated game. Wintertime game. Snow, snowmobiles. Put two and two together, play it for Christmas. Next up, we got Wii Sports. I chose this one over Wii Sports Resort because this one's a little bit more simplistic, I think. And this is great because you can play it with the whole family on Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, Boxing Day. Bust this out. You're going over to Grandma's house Christmas afternoon. Bring the Nintendo Wii. Grandma's going to love this game. 69-year-old Grandma, she's going to be playing this and having the time of her life. She's going to be dead soon. You might as well knock this one off the bucket list and play it with Grandma. That's part of the reason why this game was so popular. Grandma was playing it. Your mother was playing it. I was playing it with your mother. Your dad was playing it. Your kids were playing it. Bust it out. How many years has it been since you played this? Bring out the nostalgia. Great game for Christmas. Great game for the whole family. Little 3-year-old Timmy can play this. It's not hard. He can play bowling. 3-year-old Timmy might even beat you at bowling. And 3-year-old Timmy, he doesn't even know what he's doing. He's 3 years old. Barely even knows English. He doesn't even know what bowling is. He might be slow. He probably doesn't even speak yet. Now, we all know your kid is slow. Okay, there's no shame in that. Some people got slow kids. You might have one of them. Well, this is a game for kids that are slow. All right, next up we got, a real gem. Where is it? Real freaking gem over here. Oh, baby. This is a real masterpiece. Lost Odyssey. Nobuo Uematsu made the music. That's all you need to know. That's it. That's a wrap. Play the game. Any game where Nobuo has made the soundtrack or even just contributed is an automatic bucket list game. So what you're thinking, well, that has nothing to do with wintertime or Christmas season, holiday season. Well, you're partially right, because what else do you do during Christmas break? I got a week off coming up. I used my hard-earned vacation time to book 7 days off. All right? So what do you do during those 7 days off? You sit down, you relax, you catch up on your backlog of gaming. You choose a game that you haven't played before. You sink your teeth into an RPG. And here's an RPG that you can really get into. And I'll admit, I'm on the 3rd CD. I took a break from it. But I'm thinking about getting back to it. I'm just like you, I'm trying to figure out what am I going to play over the break. And I bet you if I really wanted to, I could finish this entire game over that break, because I'm already on the third disc. And I need that time, to play an RPG like this. You really need to be able to dedicate the time. And that's why I had to take a break. One of the reasons I had to take a break. And the load times are atrocious, so you're going to have to play it on your Xbox Series X or whatever it is, Xbox One, if it can play this. It'll make the load times really quick. That's the one flaw. And if you read the reviews on this game, all the reviews, they only ever knocked one thing. It was the load times. Music, though, off the chart. Story, off the chart. The guy who wrote what I'll call the letters, or the dreams that you have, the guy who wrote the dreams was a very famous author. And yes, some of them suck. Let's just say there's 50 dreams. I don't know how many there are. There's 50 dreams. Out of 50, you're not going to get a masterpiece hit on every dream. So if he can hit a home run 20 out of 50, that ain't bad, buddy. So I went into that. I realized that early on when a couple of dreams came up, when I said, oh, these aren't as good as the other ones. That dream wasn't very good. But then I realized, well, wait a minute, the last 2 or 3 or 5, those were real gems. Those are real masterpieces. So you can't expect the guy to hit a home run every time. Okay? Can't hit a home run on all the stories. But they're all good. They're all good regardless. Great story. Check that one out. Sink your teeth into that. Sit down for a week and play this bad boy. You will not regret that.
Lieutenant Kaya Marganar, it seems people are calling you the Immortal. We've heard there were almost no survivors after the meteor crashed on the Highlands. And yet, you appeared to be unharmed. How did you survive?
I don't know. What is the cost of my immortality? Lifetimes of battle. Lifetimes of bloodshed. Lifetimes of pain. I've survived here for 1,000 years, but I can recall none of it.
Next up, we got one of my all-time favorite games ever made. Asura's Wrath. Capcom game. Have it in a protective case for a reason, although it's not my only copy. I own a couple copies. Everybody on this channel knows I like to own multiple copies of many different games. Some cases I have 5 or 10 copies. Capcom. Did I mention that? Pretty sure it's Capcom. Yeah. Did I mention that? Well, if you haven't figured it out, Capcom makes good games. And this is a game I've mentioned many times. It mixes multiple genres. It's predominantly an action hack and slash game, running around killing enemies. But it's also a shoot 'em up, because they're shoot 'em up levels. They mix it up. They mix up the gameplay. It's also a quick time event game, but in a fun way. But it's also a game with a great story. So it ticks the RPG box. Typically, you don't get a 10 out of 10 story. And it's not a 10 out of 10, but it's a great story. But you don't typically get those great stories unless it's an RPG. Sometimes a God of War type of game. Yeah, sure, they can have good stories too. But it's typically RPGs. And this game, this will feel like an RPG. Because there's so many cinematics. And the focus, even though the action is great, the focus is on the story. And the graphics, I'm telling you right now, peak 360 graphics. This was like the king of the graphics. The machine is running overtime. You can hear those fans kicking in overdrive. Okay? Because this game is that powerful and that good. And it just so happens that the main character here is legally insane. And here's what I like to tell people. Play it for 15 minutes. Play the first episode, the first, I guess we'll call it the tutorial or the prologue, chapter 1, level 1, I guess. Yeah, level 1, basically. I think level 1 takes about 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes to complete. and you'll be hooked. You just got to play level 1 and you're in. It's the same as Scarface. When people are like, maybe Scarface isn't for me. Well, buddy, just put Scarface in, play for 2 minutes. And you'll know all about Scarface in just 2 minutes. And you can beat this in one sitting or over the course of a couple of days, 8 hours. So as you can see, I'm focusing on mostly games that you can beat in one sitting, in addition to holiday themed games or Christmas and wintertime themed games. All right, next up we got 007 Bloodstone, or Bloodstone 007, which is based on the movie. A movie license game it's got the main actor and everything. I think his name's Daniel Craig. Don't quote me on that. I forget exactly who he is. Not typically a movie guy. But this game here is known as one of the best 007 games ever made. I'll even tell you, I think it's number 2. Obviously, GoldenEye 007 is number 1 and 64. And in my opinion, this is number 2. Third-person shooter, stealth elements, but also a lot of driving segments. And you play the first driving segment, I think you'll be hooked. The boat scene, oh yeah, and the graphics too. We're talking top of the line 360 graphics again. At least for the driving scenes, it seemed like that. Or the boat scene certainly felt like it. Maybe not the rest, now that I think about it. But the boat scene, I thought that looked pretty visually impressive. I just about blew my balls off. Right? Like, I'm sitting there as I'm playing it, I'm thinking I'm playing a PS4 as I'm playing it. The driving segments are my personal favorite. And maybe that's why I love the game so much. But you can beat it in one sitting, assuming you want to play for, sit there in front of the TV for 8 hours playing the same game straight, or over the course of a couple of days type of thing. You can beat this game. Great game to just sit down, relax, and enjoy the story, enjoy the gameplay, drive the boat, drive the car, get the driving scenes going down, and you're gonna have a good time. I can guarantee that. All right, what else we got? Ooh, dang. Here's a gem. Back to another RPG, Final Fantasy Tactics. Now, this is the PSP version, and this is the definitive version. Now, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this version because you have to play it on a PSP, but I thought I'd throw that out there because they added new things to the game. There's new cutscenes, cinematic cutscenes. Like, I wish I had that on my PlayStation version. I didn't play this version. I got this one recently. But the added cinematic cutscenes, plus they added 2 new characters, I think it was, 2 new job classes. I would have killed to have this on my PlayStation. I beat this game. And the story, yeah, it's not known for being kid-friendly, as in it's a little bit complicated, actually. A lot of politics going on. But as an adult, I think that you would be able to understand it a little bit better. So, the game, put it this way, the game is so good that I actually went, after I beat it, and I wish that I hadn't beat it because I was having so much fun, I started a new game. And I tried to handicap myself because I'd already beaten it and I was so powerful at the end that the game was so easy. I was maxed out levels on everything. I was one-shotting every enemy in the game, basically. And so I started a new game, and I thought, oh, wouldn't it be cool to make a rule? I got to handicap myself, where my whole army, every player on my team, every character is going to be a priest. So we're very weak. Our physical attacks aren't strong. We can heal, though. We can heal ourselves up real good and wear you down through a war of attrition. and yeah, that's what I did. But then eventually I got bored of that and I quit. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. Next up, we got another monster hit. Star Wars Episode 1 Jedi Power Battles. This is also on the PlayStation, but this is the best version of the game. Sega Dreamcast, 2-player co-op, but it's just as, it's almost as fun single player. So And once again, you could beat this game. If you really, really wanted to and you really dug into it over the course of a week, you could beat the game. What is it? Action game? Hack and slash action game. Typical Star Wars game, but actually good. One of the actually good Star Wars games, which there aren't very many. But this is one of them. But I wanted to bring this one up because guess what? They recently re-released. They did a remake of this game. I think it's digital only right now. It's on the Nintendo Switch. I'm sure it's on your PS4, your PS5 as well. Probably, hell, it's probably even on the Xbox. Go online, it's probably on PC. I mean, you can get it somewhere. I'm fairly certain it's already out. They remade it. HD graphics, whatever minor upgrades, but it's still the same game. As far as I understand, it's still the same game with minor improvements. So you can get it modern if you're thinking, well, I don't have a Dreamcast, so I can't play that game. I want to play that game. Definitely don't touch the PlayStation version because that version sucks. This is the definitive version. Prior to them re-releasing it, of course. But yeah, very fun. Star Wars powers. And if you get stuck, because when I played this back in the day, me and my friend did get stuck at a particular boss. So, but here in the modern era, you just go on YouTube. So I know how to beat that boss now because I went on YouTube and I watched somebody beat the boss. And so you can, if you get stuck at any part, just go on YouTube and find out what somebody did, or go on GameFAQ, whatever. It's so easy. It's so easy to no longer get stuck at games anymore. Back in the day, before the internet, or the early days of the internet, the early days of YouTube, we didn't have that. If you didn't know somebody that had already beaten it on the school playground, cafeteria, if you didn't have somebody to talk to, or if you didn't know somebody that knew somebody, you just stopped playing the game. That was the end of it. What else we got? Ooh, dang. Yeah. Mario 3, I threw this up there because you can't go wrong with this. I'm picturing Christmas morning. You got a family, you got kids, you got a wife. Little kids especially. Pop this in. Bust out the NES. Pop it in. Give them a real NES controller. None of this emulation crap. None of this playing on your Nintendo Switch online expansion pack. No. That's not the same. You got to give the kid. Give the kid a retro experience. Let him know, hey, this is old. This is something unique. This ain't on your Nintendo Switch, buddy. Turn your Nintendo Switch off and bust out the OG. Let the kid put the game in himself. Let him hold the game. None of this digital bullcrap. My kids are fully digital. We don't even collect physical anymore. Okay, well, number one, you're an idiot. Because now you can't sell those games in the future. Now they're worthless. But number two, it's not the same. You got to get the physical. Let the kid do it. That's what I wanted to say. And this is 2-player. And you feel like you're on a team playing 2 players. You complete the levels together. Great game. Underrated. Still one of the best Mario games ever made. Oh yeah, that reminds me. Where's that NHL 94 game? I forgot to mention something. Here's another good thing about the classics. When you bust out the old NHL games, you also get the OG players. Your Mario Lemieux. We called him Mario Lemieux. Out on the East Coast, buddy. Mario Lemieux. We're talking Ed Belfour, Curtis Joseph, Theo Fleury, Jaromir Jagr, Steve Yzerman, Joe Sakic, Doug Gilmour, Wendell Clark, Matt Sundin, Felix the Cat Potvin. We're talking all the OG players. Wayne Gretzky, Mark Messier. So screw your new NHL garbage. Your new NHL ain't got no Wayne Gretzky in it, buddy. You ain't got no Mario Lemieux on the Pittsburgh Penguins. So don't give me that. No, the new NHL games are better. Okay, yeah. Well, when your new NHL game gets Mario Lemieux playing for the Pittsburgh Penguins, you let me know. Okay? When your new NHL game gets Joe Nieuwendyk on the Calgary Flames and Gary Roberts on the Calgary Flames, you let me know. When you got Ty Domi playing for the the Toronto Maple Leafs, you let me know. And I'll come play your NHL game. You let me know. All right? What's next? Oh, yeah. Oh, this is a gem. Donkey Konga. Now, this is the game I warned you about. I hope you're wearing a diaper. And if you blow your balls off, make sure to call 911. Now, you are going to need 4 bongos. So most of you don't have 4 bongos. But you can order 4 bongos. Maybe you can't get 4 in time to play this on Christmas morning this year, but maybe next year. So if you didn't know about this game, you don't have the bongos, you can get the bongos. Okay, you can still get the bongos. This game, you play bongos, but it's 4-player, co-op. And it's a rhythm game. And you're playing the bongos, you got one side each bongo, and you're also clapping, so it's got a microphone in it. And I'm recommending Donkey Konga number 1, if you had to pick 1 or 2, because this one has better songs. And that's for 2 reasons. It's got the DK rap, the OG N64 DK rap, and it's got the Pokemon theme song. So you can play this with your kids. They're going to recognize those songs, and they're going to have a good time. If they saw the Super Mario movie, they put the DK rap in the Super Mario movie. Okay? This, very underrated. I've played it 4-player multiple times. I've never met anyone that didn't have a blast playing this game. And if you don't have a blast playing this game, you got something mentally wrong with you. And we should probably lock you up in the asylum. I used to live there. They treat you good. They'll feed you 3 to 4 meals a day. You have to wear a straitjacket every now and then, but they'll treat you good. And that's where you belong if you don't enjoy this game. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. I'm trying to get to over 9,000 subscribers on my way to collecting over 9,000 retro video games.